there, CEOs. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Barter Blacks Today in Black History podcast, where we are featuring and spotlighting Black-owned businesses that you need to know. I'm so happy to be here with Miss Acquania Escarne, who is the owner of The Purpose of Money, which is a platform that teaches women of color about saving, investing, and building wealth through real estate, investing in the stock market, life insurance, and unique saving strategies. Thank you so much for being here, Claudia. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much for having me. This is awesome.
Thank you. So let's just jump right on in, and let's start with why you started The Purpose of Money.
Oh, that's a good one. So I actually, in 2015, I came back to the United States after living in Dubai, United Arab Emirates for 3 years with my family. I went there for work and we had a great time, but we realized we missed home and we came back. And I read an article in 2015 that essentially said most Americans don't have money saved for an emergency, and $500 is the amount of money that wrecks their budget. So I was like, $500, like we could do better than that. What can I do to help people save $500? So I did a savings challenge. I actually had gone into my credit union and I saw this really cool 52-week challenge, and it was just perfectly in the middle of the year. So I was able to start a challenge for saving in June, and we saved $500 by December by only saving $1 a week on the first week and then adding $1 each week after that. So the most you ever had to save was $52, but we just, we said $1, $2, $3, et cetera. And each week you increased your dollars. So I started that. I started posting the reminders to save, put the money in your savings account, emergency fund. And I was putting out financial literacy facts and decided 3 months later that, hey, I want to write. I want to be a freelance writer who talks about financial literacy. So I went to Upwork.com and I found some opportunities to write and got my first writing gig and wrote for that magazine for 4+ years. Fast forward to 2018, the owner of Wealth Noir magazine, shout out to Wealth Noir, that was my first writing gig. The owner, Damian Peters, was like, hey, I think you need to go to this conference where money nerds meet. It's called FinCon. It's in Orlando this year. And I can't pay for all your expenses, but I would love to contribute. So I was like, bet, I'm going to go. It was like in my spirit, it kept coming up. And of course, I was beyond the early bird registration. So I paid a lot of money to go to this conference. But 2018 in Orlando, I dived in, fell in love with not only the community, but the Black community of financial influencers, and just being amazed at how many diverse candidates were teaching individuals how to save, invest, and build wealth, and doing it in a way that related to their target audience. I learned everything from how to get grant funding to pay for your financial literacy programming for immigrant populations and first generation populations, to like how to market to millionaires. Like they had everyone there. And I left FinCon on fire, right? Like I had been dabbling in social media and writing in financial literacy, but I left that 3-4 day conference on fire. Literally the Sunday I left, I went to my cousin's house to spend a night before I flew out the next day. And I bought the URL. I bought thepurposeofmoney.com. I didn't even know how to build a website, but I left determined to build a website. And then when I struggled, because I struggled, the FinCon community just was like, let's hop on a call. I think what you're doing wrong is X, Y, and Z, and here's how I can help. And literally somebody talked to me about WordPress and how to navigate it and how to get a a theme, which I didn't even understand, all these things. So I literally went from being at a conference in a community to getting that community for life. I still talk to a lot of the people that I met that first conference, and I've done so many business ventures with a lot of people I met in 2018. But
Nice.
FinCon is what made me literally create the Purpose of Money. Prior to that, I was investing in real estate on my own. I was talking about financial literacy on social, but I didn't have a platform, a cohesive platform to educate the masses.
Nice. So that it made me think, when you were talking, it made me think of a question. What is the purpose of money?
So that is my signature question on my podcast. And I
Okay.
think that question, or the answer to that question, it varies person to person, right? Because on my platform, that's what I'm helping you discover. I'm helping you discover what's your purpose for money and how to build wealth through multiple streams, whether it's real estate, active or passive income, life insurance, and or saving and investing. So on my platform, I have like entrepreneurship stories, women like you who have created businesses, you are on the podcast, and have launched platforms to help other entrepreneurs. I have mommypreneurs who are 9-to-5ers or full-time, and they're trying to just make it work with kids and family. So you have those stories. Then you also have the actual how-to articles on the blog side, where I'm teaching you how to set up a virtual chef business or how to set up your taxes and payroll as a business owner. So we have that content. And then you still have me. I am live on social media. I'm doing live free challenges where we talk about real estate, we talk about life insurance, we talk about investing. And so you have all of these different outlets. And did I mention all of it's free? So all of it's free. I've just recently incorporated occasionally charging for certain opportunities.
Okay.
And most of the time, the challenge is free, but the replays will come at a cost, right? Because I want people to be there live. I want you to engage live. I want you to ask questions. So that's the purpose of money in the platform. But what is my purpose for money? Freedom and time.
Yeah.
I've always, since I was 16 and started saving for retirement, I've always wanted to work less and live more. I've always loved traveling. I pursued a career in diplomacy for 15 years so I could live abroad and travel the world. I know what I want, and that is to be able to travel as often as possible. Right now, I shoot for once a quarter and sometimes once a month. But I like to be able to know that the money is there to make ends meet, but also be able to enjoy life and God's creations, especially on warm tropical islands where there's a beach.
Love it. Yes, I love me a beach too, especially in living in Maryland. This weather is so bipolar. I just do not. It was sunny yesterday. It's supposed to snow tomorrow. I just cannot understand it. So clearly there's so many categories in the money realm of things and the things that you teach and you offer. Where should people start? What's the immediate thing that you should do when you're thinking about money?
That's a great question. I think it depends on where you are.
Okay.
I have met with individuals to find out, okay, where do you stand financially? Do you know your numbers? Do you have a budget? Do you have an emergency fund where there's cash accessible to pay your bills for 3 months if something happens?
Okay.
Are you investing in your employer's retirement account? I always recommend that before going to do all these investments outside of work, because that's the one that's low hanging fruit. It's available, it's accessible. It can be done for you automatically if you set up the deductions from your payroll. And in a lot of cases, employers are going to contribute to your future if you're contributing too. So we have those matching contributions that we call free money from your job. So I think that that's the basics. Is I would start with, what do I have? Write it all out. I call it the deep dive. Look at the credit card statements and the balances and the interest rates. Know how much you owe and who you owe. Any private loans out there, any personal loans, student loans, credit card debt. And then look at all the income coming in. Am I actually making enough money to support my lifestyle? The best way to know is to look at the income coming in and look at all the money going out. If you are in the negative, you are either overspending in some areas and maybe using credit cards to bridge the gap so you don't feel it physically,
Right.
or you aren't making enough money to pay for your lifestyle and there's some adjustment that needs to be made. But you have to know your numbers. Once you know your numbers, you can make informed decisions on what needs to happen next. Sometimes it's create a budget and follow it so that I'm not
Right.
overspending. Other times it's I don't make enough money. I need a side hustle. I need a part-time job. I need a higher paying job.
Yeah.
And sometimes that means I need more education or I need to apply. I'm real comfortable, but I need to apply because my industry, with my experience, I could be making more. And the greatest jumps in salary tend to come when you jump jobs, not when you seek raises, right? So those are some of the things that I kind of spark in people's mind to think about. And
Okay.
then once you're comfortable with your numbers, you can come up with a strategy or a plan, including a debt payoff plan. If you have debt, it's not the end of the world, but with a plan, you can feel less anxiety about debt. So that's something else that I help clients do is create a debt payoff plan.
Awesome, awesome. I think one thing people are probably afraid of is looking at the numbers. but but in order to get where you want to be, that's a tough thing. You have to look at the numbers. You mentioned 401k. How um easy, or how does someone do that as an entrepreneur? Because as an
Mhm.
employee, you have someone already setting that up for you, but as an employer, the entrepreneur, how does that work?
That's a great question. And you have options. You actually have the ability to save more than a 9 to 5 employee. So there are self directed individual retirement accounts is one option. A lot of investors will use this to invest in real estate and they get to decide where that money goes. So you put it into an account, but then you still have to invest it somewhere. But
Okay.
a better option that I like is a solo 401k. So it still has the 401k in it. So you can have that connection, but it's different in that you're solo, you're by yourself, you are an entrepreneur, you are contributing to this, but the limits are so much higher as an entrepreneur. It's like over $61,000 a year you can put into
Oh,
these
wow.
accounts, assuming that you made that much. So
Right,
let's
right.
be clear. Don't try to write off everything in the business and then put 61,000 into account and you can't say where it came from. That we're not doing that today.
Right.
Okay. But you have valid receipts, you have valid income coming into your business. You want to put away 60, 61K or more. You can, if you're over the age of 50, I think the number is even $67,000 a year.
Okay.
And then that becomes a tax deduction for you as a business owner too. So now you're lowering your taxable income. You're also using your business revenue to fund your future.
Yeah.
Solo 401ks work just like a 401k with your job. It's an account. You put money in it, but then you still need to invest it. So you need to decide, are you going to do stocks? Are you going to do bonds? Are you going to invest in real estate? Are you going to invest in gold, silver, Bitcoin?
Okay.
Depending on the account you have options. I have a particular one I use that's specifically for real estate, and that's what I've used to invest in hotels and apartment syndications and other real estate ventures. But I still get those high contribution limits and I
Yeah.
still get those deductions. And I remember 2 years ago, my CPA was like, yo, if you make another contribution to your solo 401k, you can reduce your tax bill by 25%. That was a no brainer. I was like, thanks for doing the math. Let me write that check, like it's very simple. So that's an option if you're a entrepreneur. And there are plenty of firms that have them. I have a particular one that I use. Happy to share a link if you want it. But just look at the solo 401k option. Another
Okay.
option, the third one, and this will be my last one I say, is the self-employed plan, which is SEP. You can do those as an entrepreneur as well. Same concept. It's an account, allows you to save towards retirement. You can put money in it. And what I even like about the self-employed one is you have the option to contribute to those accounts through October if you request an extension. If you request a filing extension with the IRS, which allows you to not file in April, but to file in October, then they'll allow you to continue to put money into those accounts for the previous tax year until October of the current year. So you can still be making money, 2023 money, right? And putting it towards 2022 retirement savings to reduce 2022 tax bill. And then by October, when you file, you reduce your tax bill again. So save for retirement. Entrepreneurs assume they don't have options, but they do. Oh, one more. So sorry. I know I said that was the last one. But here's the fourth option. Doesn't require you to be an entrepreneur at all. Okay. So the fourth one is the Roth Individual Retirement Account. Roth IRA is a tax-free opportunity for you. Why? Because Congress and the IRS have said you can put money into a Roth IRA as long as you don't exceed the income limits. And we will allow you to do that with after-tax dollars. So the taxes have already been paid. But for contributing to this account, we're going to allow you in retirement when you're 59 and a half or older to take these coins tax-free. So we're still not going to tax them because we already taxed them. I'm all about tax-free buckets. And I started saving for retirement at 16 with the Roth IRA because I took a paycheck from my job and I put it into a Roth IRA, and then I contributed money as often as I could. Now, the trick is the Roth IRA does have income limits. So check those out on the irs.gov site. Make sure you don't make too much money as an individual or a married couple to contribute. Also, they have contribution limits. So $6,500 a year if you're 50 or younger, 49 or younger. If you're 50 and older, you can actually do more. You can do $7,500 a year. And they just raised those limits for 2023. So max out. I did that because my CPA was like, look, when my husband and I first got married, they were like, look, your incomes are on the up, right? They're going up. So let's max out this account as many years as we can before you don't qualify as a married couple anymore. And then you still let the money sit and grow. The other reason I like Roth IRAs is because there are after-tax contributions. If you have an emergency, you're like, business is not good this year, I'm struggling, I need to tap into this. As long as you take contributions, they're not taxable and there's no penalty. You're allowed to take the money out if you need it in the event of hardship, to pay for education, even to pay for a down payment on a house. So the IRS is saying, it's your money, it's after tax dollars, you can use it if you need to. What you can't take without penalty are the gains. So if you put money in there and you invested in the stock market and you had profit that you earned off of it, that profit is taxable if you take it before the 5-year mark. But once the money's in the account for 5 years and it's an eligible expense to take the money out, it's yours, non-taxable. But it is best to wait till retirement because it's a retirement strategy, right? But I've had clients go into their Roth IRAs as a second emergency fund if they need to. And I love the flexibility that comes with it. But just know that once you take that money out, if you're no longer eligible to contribute to a Roth, you can't put it back. So just know that it's gone. But there have been some like crazy stories. Like, I don't know if you've ever heard the founder of PayPal, Peter Thiel, or I think it's Thiel. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, but let me tell you, founder of PayPal, started a Roth IRA with $2,000 in the 1990s, I think 1999 specifically. Dropped it in there, used the 2,000 to buy PayPal stock. Okay. And y'all all know, everybody knows PayPal is a household name now, right? PayPal me, pay me through PayPal, invoice me through PayPal, right? So you can only imagine what happened to that $2,000 investment in PayPal stock. So there are stories, you can Google this, true story. Peter's account in a Roth IRA is going to hit potentially $5 billion by the time he's 59 and a half, and the IRS cannot tax any of it. They have even looked at it and attempted to try, but according to the Roth IRA rules, it's not taxable income. So all he has to do is wait until 2027 when he's 59 and a half and start using that money.
And he's golden. Like
$5 billion in tax-free money. Now, please don't go and listen to this podcast and say, Acquania told me I can amass $5 billion. But what I am trying to tell you is the possibilities are endless when you do it right. So open the Roth IRA if you qualify, fund it with cash, invest that cash into stocks, exchange traded funds or mutual funds. So invest it. Don't just put it in there and let it sit. That doesn't make money. Invest it in a vehicle like stocks, exchange traded funds, mutual funds, and then wait. Just keep making those contributions, whether it be monthly or yearly, and just wait. But that is a tax play that most people don't use. And the only criteria that you need for a Roth, other than the income, is to have made money. So you cannot contribute to a Roth if you don't have any income for that year. That's the unfortunate part. Except in the situation of spousal IRAs. So your spouse can open up an IRA for a homemaker or a person who takes care of the home, and they can use their income to fund it. So that's an exception where there might not be a pay stub for the stay-at-home dad or the stay-at-home mom, but the spouse can create this account for them. But here's another hack. I wasn't even going to come in here and talk about taxes, but anyway. I have had clients who their grandma, like I'm going to be the rich grandma too, but I'm grandma. I see my grandson working really hard at the summer job, saving some of his paycheck. I'm going to make him a deal. I'm going to tell my grandson, hey, grandson, if you save 50% of your paycheck for your future, I'll match that like an employer would, right? And then we can put it in a Roth IRA and let it grow for you. Now, if grandson follows the rules and saves, grandma can actually make a contribution to his retirement account, and so can he, as long as the total contributions do not exceed the income he made that year.
Okay.
So there's no rule that says who contributes to the account has to be you.
Right.
It could be your mom, your dad, your uncle, your grandma, your auntie.
That's amazing.
You just have to have the income. So people have been doing this. Other people have been doing this for decades. They've been like, oh, Johnny made $13,000 working for my business. Let me get that tax write-off for my business.
Yeah.
And then let me also create this Roth IRA for Johnny so he can level up in 10 years. So
whole mastermind going on here. If you are not, I don't want you to click off the podcast just yet, but if you are not on her website after this is over, you are missing out. Like, she just dropped so much. I'm listening. My listening ears are definitely on, so I'll definitely be looking into all of that.
Yes.
I want to move over to life insurance because I think that's a big one for us.
Yes.
And that's something that I got through you last year, which I'm so excited we had that conversation, because for me, I think that I thought it was a lot more expensive than what it really was. So tell us about life insurance, why we should have it, things we can do, the advantages of having it, everything.
Absolutely. That is my lane. So I know it. Y'all probably like, I thought you do taxes. No, I do not do taxes. But I know a lot about them.
Right.
So life insurance is super important because it's a guaranteed way to leave a legacy. And I say it's guaranteed because we are all guaranteed to die one day.
Yeah.
Everybody has car insurance because they might get in a car accident. Everyone has homeowners insurance because they might have to repair something on their home. I don't understand why people do not treat life insurance as something they must have too, because we know for a fact we're all going to die one day. And life insurance is another tax-free item that you can leave your family after you pass away. And that tax-free income that they get can be used to fund the lifestyle you work so hard to create. So if you are struggling, hustling, building, right, this business,
Yeah.
so your kids can have a home to live in, so they can eat, so they can go to college, so they can go to private school or public school, that's not cheap, right? Like life has cost, and cost
Mm-hmm.
need to be paid. Now imagine if you are the only income earner for your home and you are gone. How do those costs get paid?
Yeah.
The answer is life insurance. And life insurance is the most effective way to pay those costs because it's not taxable, and it also doesn't have like as many stipulations when it comes to selling, right? Because when you have stocks, you have to sell them to get that money out of them.
Right.
When you have stocks, you may also pay taxes on the gains that you get from that. But when someone dies and leaves you life insurance, they cut you a check. Uncle Sam doesn't get a cut. You literally get use of every single dollar towards whatever you want to pay for.
Mm.
The other thing that I want people to understand is life insurance is the most effective way to help prevent your family from having to sell assets when they're not ready to or they don't want to. So, for example, I've had some people say, I don't need life insurance. I have a house, I have a retirement account, I have money in the bank. Well, none of that money is necessarily accessible right away without the
Right.
right will or estate planning in place. So your family might have to go through a process we call probate court.
Mm-hmm.
Probate court can be different state to state, but it's essentially this process where a judge decides how to allocate your resources and your assets because you didn't leave a will that had instructions. And so without instructions, it goes according to the laws of your state. They might have a rule that says it has to be equally divided amongst all your dependents. They might have a rule that say it can only go to your surviving blood relatives. So if you got a boo that's not your spouse, they get cut out. So, there's like different things that you need to be aware of. And that's why writing down the instructions is key.
Mm-hmm.
But in addition to that, there's a cost to probate. Most people don't realize some states are going to charge you the percentage of the perceived value of your estate. So let's say you only have a $200,000 house, but your state is going to charge 10% of the value of that house, which is $20,000 to go through the probate process. I don't know about you, but I don't have a lot of family members who are going to cut a $20K check just to pay off my bill and
No.
I'm dead, right? So let alone to pay for the funeral, to pay for, you want to have this elaborate casket, pastor, repast. Who's paying for all of that?
Yeah.
Most people don't have the cash to cut that check. So life insurance can be used to pay that $20,000 fee. Life insurance can be used to pay for the funeral, the casket, the repast. Life
Mm-hmm.
insurance can be what allows you to pay off your mortgage at a time where maybe the real estate market is crazy down and your family wouldn't be able to sell that house, let alone get what you owe on it. And the bank still wants their money,
Mm-hmm.
right? So that's what you need to think about is like, who's going to come from my family when I'm
Right.
not here and still want to get paid? And then how do I provide that roof, that shelter, that food, that travel once a year when I'm gone? Life
Mm-hmm.
insurance. Okay. So that's the most important thing. And then next thing to keep in mind is like there are different types of insurance. So I do encourage you to meet with a professional
Right.
and get a clear understanding of whether or not you need term life insurance, which is temporary, but it's cheaper, most cost-effective way to leave a legacy. And then there's permanent insurance, which doesn't expire, covers you for your whole life, but it comes at a higher cost, right?
Mm-hmm.
So knowing what the costs are, what the pros and the cons are is really important. And then picking the one that's best for your situation.
Mm-hmm.
When you have a lot that you want to cover, like a mortgage being paid off and a kid going to college, term might be your best option because you can get $1 million for very little, right? Versus if you wanted to do that with permanent insurance, it's going to cost you a couple $100 or more a month. That may not be in the budget because you know your numbers.
Right.
Like, I can't do that, right? So I like to tell people, know your numbers, see what you can afford, see what you need, get a quote for that, and then implement the one that you can do now so you're covered. and then transition to a different one later. So like I sell a lot of term policies
Mm-hmm.
that can be converted to permanent insurance in the future when the income is there, or maybe when you don't need to cover as much. So now
Okay.
you're like, I'm grown, my kids are grown, they're independent, they have their own kids and family. I just want to leave grandkids money, and I
Okay.
don't need to leave $1 million. Maybe I just need to leave 200,000 or something like that. So you can convert your term into a smaller policy before retirement or 10 years after you get it, or whatever you may want to do.
Okay.
But that's the short and sweet. The other thing to keep in mind, since I know you talk to a lot of entrepreneurs, is that if you are going to, in the future, consider those SBA loans to help expand or grow your business, just know that the SBA, excuse me, SBA gives out six-figure loans, but they also come with the requirement to have life insurance.
Mm.
So you need to make sure you're covered and you come to the table and are able to make that commitment. I had a client last year who almost didn't close on her $250K loan because she was struggling to get life insurance in her late 50s, 60s. And we had some health issues. We had to struggle. I got it. We got it though. But
Wow.
it was a struggle. And we literally were like, if we don't get a policy, what happens?
Right.
How do you still guarantee this loan? Because they want the insurance in place to know that if
Yeah.
you pass away, that loan will be paid off. And they don't just want to take your word for it. They want a policy and they are the beneficiary, and know that it's
Mm.
there. So I definitely think that most entrepreneurs don't know this. And the PPP loans kind of got people thinking about other money that could be used to support their business, and even SBA loans to grow their business. So if you're tapped into that side of funding and you know about it, you also know that you need life insurance for the larger loans to get qualified.
Nice. Nice. That's definitely an option. I'm telling you, you're going to be reaching out to her by the end of this episode. It's so exciting to hear you talk about this. So talk to us about the purpose of Money Maximizer.
Oh, I love that question. Yes. So the Purpose of Money Maximizer is my signature course where I teach you how to leverage life insurance to build wealth. I start out with giving you the nitty-gritty of what it is, how it works, and we calculate together how much insurance you need. But then I get into the actual strategy that I use to take 40,000 from life insurance and start investing in real estate. So you'll learn exactly how to build cash value and permanent insurance so you can borrow it for real estate investing, for college for your kids, for another business if you want to.
Mm.
And then I also share with you exactly how to set up your trust and your documents so your family has transparency on what's happening, but then you're also setting up future generations and you're making sure to educate the next generation so they don't
Yeah.
cash out all the things you set up
Right.
at the wrong times, right? So the Purpose of Money Maximizer takes all of this knowledge, puts it in one place, breaks it down into 6 modules you can follow at your own pace and then execute, right?
Okay.
And then I also offer students monthly check-ins with me where we can talk live about your real questions, what you're going through, what are you stuck on, and how can I help you get through it so you can
Mm-hmm.
execute the strategy. So there's a lot in there that really helps you maximize your money and leave a legacy that is untouchable. It's just really going to help your community, your family, and the next generation, because I do
Yeah.
talk about how to keep passing this knowledge and strategy down so that you can use it. So check it out, thepurposeofmoneymaximizer.com, and let me know what you think. But I hope to see you in my next live training session.
Yeah. When is the next one?
They're every third Wednesday of the month.
Okay.
And they happen at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we've been having a ball. Sometimes I'm on there for an hour. Sometimes I'm on there for an hour and a half. It just depends on the conversation and how it's flowing. So yeah, let's get it.
I mean, this is where we need to be, where the money is, learning about it. And what she said was passing it on to generations. Like it just can't stay with us. The purpose is to learn, implement, pass on, and hopefully generations will pass it on. Thank you so much for this. This was
Oh,
awesome. This
you're welcome.
I learned so much today. So before we go, I want to give people an opportunity to shoot their shot at you because I know a lot of people want to shoot their shot at you today. So what things do you need in your business right now that you wouldn't mind bartering for?
Girl, I am growing my team. Okay. So listen up. I am looking for a virtual assistant that is willing to help me organize and structure my business. I have assistants now that are still in the training process, but I'm looking for somebody who's trained up. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Who can help with the systems that I'm putting in place and knows how to keep projects organized. I have another business that we didn't talk about today because I only do referrals on this one, and it's my email marketing business. But it is grown to a six-figure business with IG influencers of color who are in the financial space. And in this business, I'm providing you emails so you can engage with your audience regularly and get sales through email. So I'm willing to help anyone out there with the virtual assistant skills or the tech skills to create systems with email marketing in your business if you are interested. So let me know because I know you have a skill out there that I could use in my business, and I know you can do it virtually. So let's connect now.
Okay, commercial.
Now, okay? Like, I'm not playing. So
Now. Jump in
now,
those comments now.
yes.
Well, make sure you follow her. All her information will be in the show notes and the comments. Thank you, Acquania, so much for joining me for the podcast. I really appreciate it. We are headed out. Again, thank you so much for watching and listening. We will be back here tomorrow, same time, same place, where we will be featuring another Black entrepreneur that you need to know. So have a good one. Thanks.
Bye bye.